Let's take a look at the code. Now, the first thing we do is we set a variable called rules applicable to be true. And this is so that we know when we can continue applying the given rules, and that way we know when we can simply be done with the function. And we also give a temporary assignment to all of the variables of none, since we haven't assigned them either true or false values yet. Now in this loop, while we can still apply rules, we first set rules applicable to false. And that's so that unless we come into a situation where we might be able to apply the rules again, we just assume that this is the last time we're going to be able to do this. Now we first deal with single occurrence variables. So we set a counter to be 0 for each of the variables here, and we also set the variable setting to none for each of the variables. And then for each of the clauses and each variable in each clause, we set the absolute value of the variable, and then we increment variable counter of that variable by 1, since we've seen that variable now. And we set this variable to 1 if var is greater than 0 or 0 otherwise. That is, we set it to 1 or 0 to represent true or false if it is positive or negated. Now we enumerate all of the variable counters with I and var, and if var does not equal 1, then we go ahead and just continue. And if our temporary assignment is not none, that is, it's already been assigned to something, we also continue. Otherwise, we fall through and we set the current temporary assignment to be the current setting of the variable. From here, we try to deal with single variable clauses. Now for each clause in the list of clauses, we first check that the length of the clause is not 0. If the length of the clause is greater than 1, we go ahead and just continue through the loop. We don't need to check any further. Otherwise, we set the variable equal to the only element in the list in the clause, and we set a var to the absolute value of that variable. Now if the temporary assignment of a var is not none, if it's already assigned to something, then if the temporary assignment of a var does not equal 1, if the variable is greater than 0 or else 0, then we return 1, negative 1. And this is because that means that the variable cannot be satisfied. This clause, in fact, cannot be satisfied. And if not, then we go ahead and fall through and we set the temporary assignment of this variable to 1 if the variable is greater than 0 and else 0. Now we need to go ahead and clean up all of these clauses. In order to do this, we're going to accumulate all of the current clauses into a new list of clauses so that we can remove the ones that we don't need to worry about anymore. Now we enumerate all the current clauses, and we also enumerate all the variables in each clause. And we set the assignment equal to the temporary assignment for each of these variables. If the assignment is none, then we go ahead and append that variable to the new clause because we still haven't determined what it should be. Otherwise, we say that, well, we might be able to continue applying rules here because we're about to remove some clauses. Now, if the current variable is assigned true, 1, and the variable is greater than 0, or the assignment is false, 0, and the variable is less than 0, that is, it's negated, then we can go ahead and remove the entire clause. So we set this new clause equal to none, and we continue on. Otherwise, well, then we just have to remove the variable, and we pass through. Now, if the clause could not be satisfied, then if the new clause is the empty set, then we go ahead and return 1, negative 1 to indicate that it cannot be satisfied. Now, if the clause instead is greater than 0, then we go ahead and append this clause to the new list of clauses. And at the end of this double for loop, we set the current list of clauses to the new list of clauses. And if we've set rules applicable to true, then we go ahead and loop back through until that is not true. At the end of all of this, we go ahead and return the list of clauses. And that's it.